Welcome back to the WCS America Challenger League Qualifier. We're here in a match between Taeja and Hendralisk. Taeja won the first game pretty convincingly with some great Marine Widowmine usage. But game number 2 is going to be on Daybreak, and Hendralisk will have his chance to even up the score.
I'm pretty excited for this game. I mean, Hendralisk, he did pretty well. He unfortunately just didn't have enough advantages to really make it into, into Taeja's actual natural and do the damage that he wanted to do. But I think all of the good makings were there. He had pretty good chances. I think, maybe in game number 2 we're going to be able to see him actually get some success on those.
We'll have to wait and see. Daybreak, of course, is a map that Zergs typically don't mind it too much because it takes a little bit longer for their opponent to cross the map and harass them.
All right, guys, so game number 2 here is going to be spawning on the bottom left-hand corner of Daybreak. It is Liquid Taeja. Spawning up here in the top right-hand corner, our Zerg player from Team Complexity, Blue Zerg, Hendralisk. And Taeja a little bit unsure if this was actually Daybreak or not. You'd think by this point he'd probably know Daybreak, but of course he is, playing God knows what, 13 hours a day. So,
yeah.
Maybe at this point he's just saying, oh, this looks like Metalopolis. This looks like... He doesn't know. He's just a machine. He doesn't even process things anymore. They go to his subconscious level, and he just starts playing and then just wins.
Well, a win is a win. Of course, Taeja actually not going Command Center first. Most Terrans opt for Command Center first on Daybreak. He's going to do the same opening with Barracks Gas, so loving that Reaper opening. Maybe
he thinks Hendralisk is lying, that it's not actually Daybreak. And that's why he's not going for Command Center first. He said, I'm on to you. You're lying to me. This isn't actually Daybreak. But, I do like Command Center first on this map. But, of course, Reaper as well is pretty good. Still, once again, I mean, just these types of Terran players love to get the information of their opponent and just do the counter build. The build pretty much for Terran right now is pretty solid. It's always just get into drops and Marines and win. But it's what level you get everything at. When you start getting what upgrades, when you start getting more Raxes than, everything else. And that's what's really important here to Taeja. You got those +1/+1 upgrades last game actually kind of late for what I would typically understand for Taeja to do.
He started to stem first, so a little bit safer play. Stem, of course, more useful against early attacks. But yeah, not quite as greedy with the upgrades as for example, the Muslim was in his match against Qualifier. Again, Hendralisk going for that fast speed. So he's going to utilize that to help deal with these Reapers.
I like this build, but not on a map like this. I mean, the natural's not as wide open as it is in Belcher Vestige. Especially because the natural ramp is right there, so it's very difficult to actually get into a position where you can just kind of run by and get into the main base, especially against an opponent like Taeja. So Speedlink, great for dealing with those Reapers, but it's after the Reapers. I mean, I think Queens can deal with those Reapers pretty well.
We'll see. He's going to try to use the drones for now, micing them quite well so far.
Oh, one does... Oh, Spore Crawlered.
Nice moves here by Hendralisk.
And it looks like Hendralisk is going to fend off that Reaper for now. It's going to come back in for its revenge. Electric Boogaloo, the Reaper. But I don't think it's actually going to be able to do that much damage. Yeah, not a second Reaper coming out from Taeja either.
Well, it's joining us, buddy.
Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. I was looking for it on the map. Couldn't see it.
So the Queen's going to try to fend them off, but with 2 Reapers, they can continually put damage on the Queen. And remember, the Reapers regenerate life much faster than the Zerg units do. So it's just a matter of time before too much damage gets put on, which is part of the reason why Hendralisk is opting for the speed lane opening, so he can get that speed and push those Reapers away before too many units of his die.
Reaper very, very weak. It's down to 12 health. But of course, it's going to be able to regenerate that and get back into its own base, kind of go duck and take some cover over back at home. Meanwhile, Speedling is just about to finish up, so that's actually really good timing. I'm sure Taeja at this point knows exactly when, if Hendralisk goes for a build as such and is getting Speedling, he knows exactly when the Speedling is about to finish up, so he knows to get his Reapers into a very safe place so that he doesn't get them caught out of, try and be too greedy with his play and lose both of his Reapers.
Definitely do not want to lose those units early. They're fairly expensive. So he's going to start setting up his depot wall. Also notice Taeja actually got 2 additional barracks before 3rd Command Center or any engineering base. So definitely looking to do a timing attack as opposed to playing that longer macro game.
And getting that stim very, very early again, as we saw last game as well.
No, this is a timing attack that usually involves either combat shield or it always involves either combat shield or stim. In fact, I think I feel like I've seen combat shield slightly more often than stim. You just constantly make Hellions, and you're going to have about 10 to 12 Hellions, and then of course a lot of Marines with either the combat shield or the stim. Those very important upgrades for the Marines.
And we can see he's already gearing up for that as by grabbing only 2 Raxes this time. And those are just those little things you have to note when you're trying to go for a build like this. Going for, you know, only 2 racks instead of going for 3, because you're not going to be able to support that off of this 2 base, and you don't want to overcommit your minerals to your macro. So he's going to be able to get those Marines out perfectly, the amount that he needs, just the amount that he needs, just to be able to do this push effectively enough.
Taeja, of course, has the wall in the front. Whether you're doing an aggressive build or not, as Terran, you always want to create that wall. Even if you intend to be on the offense, you want to stop those run-bys. Such an important part of Terran is making your base layout correct.
13 roaches in the production tab.
And the baiting nest behind it. Those 2 Evo chambers from Hendralisk are fakes. He's not actually using them for upgrades. They're just convinced Taeja there's nothing funny going on. And really, he's doing basically an all-in. But Taeja's going for a timing attack. When they clash, you know, there's going to be a lot of units from both sides, but only one of them is going to end up prevailing.
This is going to actually be a very, very interesting battle to see who's going to win in this timing attack versus all-in. I'm kind of thinking that Hendralisk is going to have a little bit of an advantage here because he's going for those Banelings, and with the Banelings, he's going to do a lot of damage against the light units, which is going to be completely comprised of Taeja's force. But it's whether or not Taeja can get those Hellion shots in order to take this out. Now here come those Roaches, and the Zergling as well.
Taeja's going to have both Medivacs and Stim complete. And Taeja has some excellent Marine splits. Remember, these Banelings won't have speed, so Stim Marines with decent control should do pretty well. But while the Marines are busy trying to micro against the Banelings, these Roaches could really pack a heavy punch.
And here come 14 Banelings with more and more Banelings on the way behind this. The supply depot and everything else is so incredibly vulnerable right now. It looks like, is he going to be able to get the supply depot up in time? No, he's not even going to care. He's just going to A-move in here. Here come those Banelings. All of the Marines are clumped up, and Taeja is taking heavy losses here. But is it enough for Hendralisk to be in the lead? Here comes those Banelings now into the mineral line, and it looks like they're going to detonate, taking out so many SCVs. More Roaches coming in as well, and now there's just more harassment at the natural as well, cleaning up much of the main base, but unfortunately it looks like the rest of Hendralisk's forces are kind of filtering in very slowly. Taeja's starting to get a little bit of a grasp here, but he has 17 workers in 40.
So many workers died. The Hellions are such an instrumental part of Taeja's composition, clearing up the speedlings and also helping versus the Banelings, but unfortunately he kind of just put them all on the left side of the map and forgot about them. Now they're coming back to help the defense, but he's already taken so much damage.
Some beautiful, beautiful positioning here of the Banelings by Hendralisk, and actually doing so much damage. That Hellion has 2 little taps left and it's gone. And these Medivacs have completely spent all of their energy. Now there are more units coming out here from Taeja, but it's nothing compared to the amount of econ that's in advantage here for Hendralisk. Now, can Hendralisk turn this advantage into a victory is the question.
The first thing he's got to do is defend and catch up in upgrades in tech, because remember, he hasn't gotten a single upgrade yet. His lair is just finishing. Taeja, well, he's behind in supply. He's got Stim Marines and Medivacs, and those are going to be very hard to deal with just hatchery tech units.
Here comes a little bit of a push here into the 3rd base. Now there are a couple of Banelings and Roaches here. Is he going to be able to evacuate those? Oh, actually very, very well targeting those Banelings before they actually even get close to those Marines. And that is with the precision clicks that Taeja, of course, is a pro player, and he will have the precision to be able to target down those Banelings while stutter stepping back. Here comes another medevac with 8 more Marines. Actually, Hendralisk engaging this with very small numbers, and this is not where his advantage is.
He has to find a way to group up enough units to take this on, but he cannot afford to lose the 3rd base. This is only economic advantage. He's got to save this. More and more units rallying in. Taeja's Medivacs are running out of energy, and I think Hendralisk has enough. He's going to push us back.
It looks like just barely he's got those Roaches. There are a couple of Medivacs going to be able to take out 3 of those Marines out of the large force that came up, and there's so many medevacs here, but there's no Marines to actually heal. There's more medevacs than Marines. Here come the little Marines.
One thing it's important to remember is Taeja, 3rd CC, is just being built right now. She doesn't have the strong economy that Tyranny usually does, even after they lose their SCVs. Trying to micro, but a great round by Hendralisk. Taeja picked up a split second before that Baneling.
Quickly evacuates as the Baneling pixel was just barely overlapping the Terran Marine pixel. Taeja,
Hendralisk is anticipating drops in his main. He's seeing Lottiness down there, but really it's just the whole army going straight at his 3rd.
I mean, he has to know at this point that he's done so much economic damage that this is the entire army here for Taeja. And there's one little Baneling trying to get in there. Yet again, evacuates with all those Marines. Is Taeja going to be able to throw himself back into this game?
He might be able to. Remember, all this tech he invested in the stim pack and the faster medevacs, it makes him so cost efficient versus just these basic units of Zerg.
But all of these Marines are getting cleaned up so quickly by these Zergling. The medevacs are once again running out of energy. There's 3 medevacs that just aren't doing anything. They're just kind of hanging out there, floating, obscuring view, and it looks like Taeja's going to take so many hits here. But as long as his econ isn't being impacted and he keeps forcing all of these larvae to be spent on army instead of drones, Taeja's actually slowly coming back into this game. 35 to 55.
He is, and the trades are so efficient. But as we see now, the Roaches have Roach speed. The Banings have Baning speed. So Taeja is not going to be able to trade quite as efficiently in those direct confrontations going forward. He may have to fall back on drop play, or perhaps add in some Widow Mines or Siege Tanks to compensate for the fact that Zerg's now starting to get those more advanced technologies at his disposal.
So once again, Taeja moving around the map, taking out a couple of creep colonies to try and deny as much of the creeps right here for Hendralisk. That's not only vision, but movement speed as well, so it's going to impact how quickly Hendralisk is going to be able to get into pincer maneuvers. But here comes another large group of Banelings moving in here, but the spread of these forces by Taeja is going to minimize the Baneling's effect. But there's just so many Roaches, and Taeja going to try and take out as much as possible before he realizes that battle is just not going to work out so well.
Oh, dropping again on creep. Hendricks is pretty quick on coming back. Taeja's got to pick up again. He's using a couple extra Marines. Taeja working on 2-2 upgrades, so he's starting to transition to his standard 3 base games. He's setting up that 3rd base.
He's somehow ahead of Hendralisk in upgrades. Oh, Taeja, you just amaze me every single time. So that 3rd base just barely landing. There was an Overlord blocking it with creep. And all Taeja really has to do right now is just keep defending long enough. Now here comes a lot of those Roaches. He does evacuate all of those Marines before they even die.
There's no Overseer. So oh, there is. Never mind. I lied. There is one. Just right off the edge there. So going forward, he's got to be able to take out those Widow Mines and then use a lot of speed baitings to deal with the Marines.
Now it looks like he's going to bait Taeja's forces to stim, not only stim, but also move to the 3rd base. That actually was a huge stim. That's a lot of medevac energy that Taeja doesn't want to spend right now. Oh, and the Widow Mine does spend itself on the one Zergling. There's a tank on the high ground.
That could be instrumental in Taeja's defense. Hendricks is trying to sweep up here. The Widow Mine has used its charge, but a tank is still so effective with that high ground positioning.
He's got a couple Marauders in his composition as well. Those Marauders are going to be super effective against those Roaches, but is it enough? Is it enough right now? He's pulling in all of his SCVs, trying to keep that tank alive. All the supply depots are going down as well, but it looks like Taeja's going to hold.
Wow, what a great defense by Taeja. A few more SCVs dying, but he's still alive. And Hendralisk's force is actually not as big as it would be. Oh, way more Zerg rallying across the map, though. Hendralisk is not done yet.
He's not done yet, but he has to win here because he's at 54 to 50 Harvesters. And this is going to be a little bit of an uphill battle if he doesn't get all of these engagements just right. Now he does retreat back to that bunker, and it looks like there's only a couple of Roaches left. More Banelings trying to be morphed in here, but Hendralisk, he's got to make something happen in the next couple of minutes. Oh, a nice little Zergling and counterattack at the 3rd base.
Oh, and now when the Bio runs to defend that, Hendralisk comes into the natural yet again, but there may just be too much Bio. It's got 2-2 upgrades and so many medevacs supporting it.
But here comes some Banelings. Are they going to get the connects that they need? He keeps running back. He's got the concussive shell. He's slowing them down, but is it enough to actually outrun those Banelings?
He's going to run out of stim. His units are too low to stim. The medevacs are out of energy. They can't heal him anymore. Taeja's defense is starting to crumble. The 3rd base is forfeit.
And I think Hendralisk is going to be able to actually pour in enough units to somehow take this game. Ooh, this is so difficult to kill right now. This is so difficult to kill right
Hendralisk
now.
has the better economy right now. He has more units, but Taeja, 2-2 upgrades, is just so cost efficient due to that upgrade advantage.
He just needs to make sure that those roaches don't kill everything right now. The Baneling is gonna connect. No! What beautiful split micro
but
by
a couple speedings from the back that may be instrumental.
And here they come. Are they gonna be able to clean up? The Medevac's completely out of energy. There's nothing left, and Marauders are not that good against Speedlings. More and more Speedlings coming in here, but they're actually running into Marines single file to hide their numbers, but unfortunately that's actually not that good for Zergling.
Oh, now all the medevacs come back. They've regained some of their energy. Taeja holds, and he's got upgrade advantage, food equality. And once 3-3 finishes, I think the upgrades will almost just be too much for Hendralisk to continue the game.
Hendralisk only has +1 carapace on his roaches and +1 melee weapons as well as carapace on his Zergling. Here comes another couple of Banelings, but the splits here from Taeja are too much for those Banelings. Takes out only one Marine. And once again, Taeja winning again because he's got those Marauders against the Roaches. The Roaches being fought off once again. Taeja with beautiful control of his MMM.
It just won't die. And now there's so many medevacs, even without much energy, they regenerated fast enough to keep these units alive. Attempted run by from Hendralisk could do a lot of damage here.
I mean, he just has to attack move his SCVs to hopefully fend this off long enough. He's running a couple of forces that here at the natural to hopefully kill the rest of these Zerglings, but still, that's a lot of Zergling that he's spending to barely even up the econ.
Oh, Hendralisk trying to defend this attack if he can take this out. Oh, so nice baiting connects. The medevac's out of position.
Taeja actually taking a huge amount of losses there. Lost so many Marines that were just left there at the 4th base position.
Taeja is now finishing up three upgrades. The 4th command center in production. Hendralisk still just basic units, but Taeja's main is mine out his naturals though. If Hendralisk can deny a 3rd base for one more time, that may be enough.
But Hendralisk himself is only on 3 bases. His natural and main are completely mined out as well. The war of attrition is going in favor of Taeja because Taeja is making every single battle incredibly cost efficient here.
It's just now the 3rd attack upgrades finish. The 3rd armor is seconds from completion. Taeja, sensing his army, is just unstoppable. It's pushing forward through the middle. No rocks to stop his passageway. And I don't know if Hendralisk can stop this army. He doesn't think he can either, going for yet another run by on the 3rd base of Taeja.
151 to 115 in the food supply count in favor of Taeja. Taeja now moving his way over to the 3rd base. The 3rd base is all that's left for Hendralisk, and it's half dead.
Oh, Taeja defends the counterattack, and Hendralisk save his 3rd base. The hatchery goes down, and the Zerg pours in, but Taeja's splits are yet again very great.
And once again, Taeja getting an incredibly great, cost-efficient battle here out of Hendralisk's army versus his. And there's the GG. Taeja wins 2-0.
That was the game, though.
That was a game.
Hendralisk had him on the back foot for such a long time.
That was a game we watched there.
Yes, it was.
Great display by Taeja. Coming back, I mean, that's one of those things in StarCraft. You just have to have the persistence. You have to just stay in the game. Keep the mindset that as long as I can wear out all of his army, as long as I can completely pile my dead bodies and suffocate his army, maybe I'll be able to overcome this just incredible push. I mean, look at it right now.
So much Zerg.
So much Zerg and so little Terran, and yet he's still able to turn this game around.
It's very, very cost-efficient units. A real quality of composition done by Taeja there. And he advances 2-0. We're going to take a short break and be on with our next match, which I think is going to be Drunken Boy versus, I think it's Taeja?
Yes, Taeja, I think.